Good evening, everybody. This is your host, Huge Pop from the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast, and always riding with me on a Monday is Rico. How you doing today? And tonight,
loving it.
Our guest tonight is American professional wrestler who competes in Mid-Atlantic and Southern Independent scene. He as well as competed in TNA, NWA Wildside, Ring of Honor, and a Christian Wrestling Federation. He has also made several appearances on World Wrestling Entertainment Wrestling on WWE Heat, WWE Philosophy. He was trained by the Hardy Boys, and he does some commentary on the side. Please welcome to the show the Notorious Ice, Caprice Coleman. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. Did I get all that right?
I'm excited. I guess if you're reading Wikipedia, you did.
Tell me, is there something different is there something that Wikipedia puts out there that's wrong? I guess I hate that.
I think it's just dated. I'm a full-time commentator now, working for Ring of Honor, AEW. I still wrestle and all, but that's my main job now.
Awesome. So before we get going, I got to say this because there was an incident a couple shows ago. Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast opinions are not of our guest wrestlers' opinions. Our opinions are not the same as his opinions or anybody other guest's opinions. It's all on their opinions and their opinions only. We are here to talk wrestling, and that's what we're here to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to say that. There's for certain reasons I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Look at her.
You're looking at me like, I'll be honest with you. Something happened. Somebody said something on the podcast about a week ago, upset another person, and I'll tell you the whole story when we're done. But that's what happened, and now I have.
I believe it.
Because I was told I was going to get sued. So, yeah, there's that. Anyways, I'll share that story after the podcast and when we're in the green room again. So, Mr. Caprice Coleman, can you please introduce yourself to the Huge Pop family and what you were like as a fan growing up and what interested you most and all that stuff?
Okay, well, I'm Caprice Coleman, the show-stopping, crowd-popping, body-rocking, pulse-pounding, heart-racer, the handsome-face heartbreak. I'm the man with the style, the grace, the shape, the face, the innovator, the crowd-motivator, the commentator, complicator. And right now, I am a full-time commentator at Ring of Honor /AEW, where my broadcast partner is Ian Riccaboni. I've been watching wrestling since I was 3 years old, and I've been a fan, first of all, watching Dusty Rhodes, and then growing up, and then seeing guys like Rocky King, Ron Simmons, Ric Flair, Sting, and I grew up on like the NWA days. I got a chance to watch like World Class Championship Wrestling. I got introduced to WWE like when I was, like 10, 11 years old. So it was a little bit later. And I always saw them like in magazines. But then I think when we got cable, when we was older, we were able to actually see WWE or whatever. So I mostly grew up on like the NWA World Class Championship Wrestling type scene. That's about it, man. I've been wrestling since 1997, and I've done everything from refereeing to wrestling to commentary to managing to producing to training. And so that's Caprice Coleman.
Caprice Coleman. There you go.
Man, bro, like what you said, it's like, I was like, I would have needed like 2 or 3 breaths in that sentence. Just trying to spit all that out. Oh, man. So do you have do you have any brothers or anything? You have any athletes in the family you kind of always competed and compared with? Or
I'm the only athlete in the family.
The only athlete?
Yeah, I'm the only athlete. My brother, he played tennis for a while. I have a wrestling brother, Sweet Dreams. He's kind of like my wrestling brother, but I had a brother that played tennis for a little while, and that was pretty much about it. I was pretty much the only athlete. Yeah.
Gotcha. What about like when you were in school? Did you play any sports and kind of wanted to do that with your future, but then you went towards wrestling, or how did that play out?
I wrestled all the way through school. That's all I've ever done. I played like Pee Wee football until everybody else reached their growth spurt, and I didn't reach mine. And when I graduated high school, I probably weighed 125 pounds. And I didn't have my growth spurt until I was in my 20s. And so like in, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, Pee Wee football was Pee Wee football or whatever, up to 6th grade or whatever. But then everybody started getting their growth spurts. And I was pretty much the smallest person in high school, like in my grade for years. and until I graduated, and then I had a growth spurt. But I was always like wrestling, so I wrestled weight class like 103 my freshman year, 103 my sophomore year, 112 my junior year, 119 my senior year, and I never had to cut weight.
Nice. Never had
Okay.
to cut weight, man.
Yeah.
Good. So my dad and my sister are on here. My wife is on here. So thank you guys for supporting the Huge Spot Wrestling Podcast. We love you guys. So I know you're a Ring of Honor announcer, commentator. Do you watch the other promotion as well? And what's
Yeah. I'm not like that, man. I'm a person that has friends in all places, and my thing is, man, as long as we eat and we good. I'm not like, don't do this and don't do that and all. It's like this. I've been in the sport for 27 years, man. I have friends in WWE. I have friends in AEW. I have friends in TNA. I have friends in NWA. I have friends all over the world, man. And when I turn on the TV or turn on the internet or social media, and I see somebody that I know eating, I'm happy.
Awesome. So I'm gonna get this trick question out of the way. It's a trick question.
Okay.
So mind you.
Okay.
Okay. Who is the all-time greatest WCW champion ever?
How's that a trick question?
Because I'll give you a hint. Just a hint. He starred in the Scream movie.
Started in what?
The Scream movies.
David Arquette. Yes.
Okay. So I got it right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It wasn't a shock value like everybody else.
So
Anyway.
when you're talking about you're happy, like you got friends in each organization, did you happen to watch this previous Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I did, man. Oh, man,
So,
it was amazing.
How did you feel when you got to see Jordynne Grace come out in the Women's Royal Rumble?
I'm friends with Jordynne Grace, and I thought it was tremendous. I'm friends with Jonathan Gresham. I thought anytime you're able to like take those windows and those walls down, it's just huge, man. Naomi, that was a huge surprise. To me, the biggest surprise of the night was Jade Cargill. I didn't know how they was to bring her in. I'm friends with her, and to see that she came in on the Royal Rumble and looked good, and how they had her and Bianca face to face. You want to see it, They didn't touch, and it's just it's like I have so much wrestling to watch to where it's hard to keep up with everything. But the Royal Rumble made me want to like keep up to everything to WrestleMania, just to see what happens. So it's kind of like adding addition to everything I'm already watching.
Right.
But yeah, I think it was great.
They were just they brought out in the news that CM Punk's out for 6 to 8 months due to the shot he took from, I think, Drew McIntyre, I think.
Yeah, I think, it's just on the DDT or something's coming down. That's wrestling, man, and that's hard for CM Punk, man. He's making these, comebacks in different places, and then he gets hurt, and nobody plans that stuff, man. Nobody's like, oh, I'm going to go out here and make a big deal, and then I'm going to get hurt, and then I'm going to be on the shelf. Nobody plans that, man. I think he comes out with his intentions of returning great. I was actually looking at him that night and be like, dang, he put on some size. He looks good. He grew his hair out. He took the gray away, and you know what I mean. He had that nice look to him. He looked full. He looked presentable, and all. And then to see him get hurt, I'm like, dang, we take this sport for granted sometimes because we don't realize how much of a risk it is. Anytime you step in those square circles, people say, oh, it's entertainment. You don't get hurt. Tell my friends this. I've been in this sport 27 years, man. And I have friends that have died in the sport. I have friends that are in wheelchairs. I know people that have injuries that are nagging injuries and all this stuff. And it's real. It's real to life. It's real to families. It's mentally real. It's physically real, And so a lot of this stuff, man. And then the hard thing is sometimes like that's your bread and butter. You know what I mean? Like that's what you have. And if you don't do it, you're not making money. And you get people in those situations where, then some of them would do anything they can just to be able to perform again because that's their bread and butter, and not saying that CM Punk, because he's made his money. I think he does it because he loves to do it, but it's just how the sport is, though, you know. And so I wish them well. I don't wish harm on anybody, man. I wish them well, and I hate that happened because I think everybody's looking for this. What was CM Punk going to do at WrestleMania? And everybody
Seth
was
Rollins.
looking forward to that. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what you said, what makes a lot of, I wish people would listen to what wrestlers like you say when they pose that question about the fake. It's maybe scripted or whatever, but you guys take bumps and there's stuff that happens. And it's so when that stuff happens, I wish people would understand that isn't fake. It's real.
Yeah.
It's a real deal.
And it's also like my doctor tells me, I actually came from a doctor appointment today, which was a great one. But he told me that, anytime I wrestle, it's like I'm volunteering to be in a 30-mile-per-hour car crash. I'm volunteering to be in a 30-mile-per-hour car crash. And I mean, I've had hundreds of matches. You know what I mean? And a lot of these people on TV, hundreds of matches. Just imagine like just going down the street, taking your car, going 30 miles per hour, and just slamming into a wall. And then getting out and doing it the next day. And then you got to do it 3 days in a row, or sometimes 3 or 4 times in one day, depending on how many tapings are going on. Or once a week is hard because, your body doesn't have time to recover from stuff like that. So it's taxing. It's taxing and it's overwhelming on the body, and it builds up. And I've been blessed to be in this sport to where I don't have any. I mean, I'm 46 years old. I'm in tremendous shape. I've had my injuries, but the blessing that I have is that I'm able to do commentary, and I wrestle here and there. I get to pick and choose my matches, and so my body's able to heal. So I'm always if there's a such thing, at 100%. Nobody's ever really at 100%, but I'm always ready to perform because I get these huge breaks between performing. Even on the indies, I get to pick and choose because I do commentary on the indies and I do wrestling on the indies, and so it's like you got these guys that are wrestling 3 and 4 times a week, man. Just think about that. Like, your body is your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what the people who sit there and say, "Oh, it's just fake." They don't really hit each other or get hurt. Like, I didn't do wrestling, but I took a couple bumps in a real ring, and I'm like, man, I can only imagine doing this.
Yeah.
For like 15, 20 minutes, taking so many bumps in one match, and you're doing it, like you said, 3 to 4 times a week sometimes.
Yeah, it builds up. And the thing about it is, it's entertainment or whatever like that, but nobody watches a movie and says that. Right. You know what I'm saying? And any stunt done in a movie is not even done by the star, but you don't tell that star, "Oh, you didn't really do that." Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. But we're stars and we're doing our own stunts, and there's no cut, there's no clip to the next stunt man or whatever like that. We're doing our own things, and we live the next day, and we do the next thing. And the thing about it is, even though people know it's entertainment, we still have to present it in a way to where it looks real to you. So in a lot of ways, the only way to make it look real is to do it more real. And you have these people, man, they're bleeding, they're staph infections and cuts and gouges, and and more risk after more risk, and jumping off this, and let's make it higher, let's make it deeper, let's make it more gore, let's make it this, all to please a fan that's still gonna say, "Oh, it's just catch up." Like, you know what I'm saying? And so it's a business that we signed up for, but I do believe that sometimes it's overlooked on how much we did sign up for. And the respect, I think the real respect is lost is when these wrestlers that you don't see anymore, and then you see them at like WrestleCons, and you see the taxing on the body that it had on wrestling. You see these wrestlers that were your idols when you were young, and they could barely walk, they could barely move, and I'll tell them it's fake.
Mm-hmm.
Lex Luger, for example.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's funny you say that about the movies and stuff, because I had a buddy who was just trying to argue with me. He goes, "Well, how can you sit there and watch that stuff, man? It's fake, right?" And I said, "You do realize, bro, that movies are fake." But we pay money to go to theaters all the time to watch movies, or to rent them and sit at home and watch movies. That's fake. Well, so it's just, I was like, no, people actually get hurt.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff is scripted. Okay, I'll give you that, but the beatings are real.
Yeah.
That's why you see black guys, broken arms, broken legs.
Yeah. And I mean, and I wrestled always. I mean, I'm an athlete. That's been my thing my whole life, is that I am a legit athlete. I train. I still train. I'm a coach that trains from the inside of the ring. Like, I stay in shape. I'm a legit like, I can, my skill is wrestling. I've done mixed martial arts and all that, but like, if I was on UFC, I would be the wrestler on UFC. Like, and wrestling is a defense. Wrestling is a art. Wrestling is an art that you can defend yourself with, and then there's pro wrestling and all that. But like, I am a legit like wrestler. I grew up wrestling, in tournaments and all that stuff. That's what I did. So, um, I don't know. People are gonna have their own opinions, and you can almost tell by the way they ask questions how they really feel about it. Like, I talk to somebody and oh, what do you do? And I say, oh, I'm a, I don't even bring up I'm a wrestler. I say, oh, but when that comes up, I'm a wrestler. Oh, you're a wrestler. Oh, where you wrestle around Charlotte? In their head, it's already small. You know what I'm saying? It's already small, and so I say no. I kind of brush it off, because I'm like, I can't make it. I'm not going to make this as big as it is to you, because in your head it's already small. You know what I'm saying? And so I just let people be who they are, because if you see the lights, camera, action on, and you see the cameras on, and you see the lights on me, then you say, oh wow, it's so and so, so and so, so and so. It's not what I thought it was. Yeah, I knew that when you asked the question.
Yeah. So you were trained by a few of my favorite wrestlers back in the day, Matt and Jeff Hardy. So
Yeah.
you talk about that experience and what they taught you, and are they still a part of your life as you're going on through your career?
Absolutely. They're good friends of mine. We actually all work for the same company now. So we're still friends. We still get to see each other, and all. Training with them, it started kind of like, I didn't know there was a such thing as indie wrestling. I saw a poster one day. I was at like a video store or something. Now, I had seen the trampoline wrestling. I was a big fan of the Hardy Boys. They had this TWF, Team Wrestling Federation, and I saw them doing that. And I used to get the videos and watch it. Like, I used to rent the videos at this local store that they had made a deal with, and watch the Team Wrestling Federation videos. And they had Wolverine, they had High Voltage, they had Kid Dynamo, they had Champagne, they had all these guys, and they were wrestling on the trampoline. I just thought it was cool. And then one day, I saw a poster for like a pro wrestling event that was going to take place in like near where I live, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I want to wrestle." So I am like going to sign up to wrestle on the show. Like, okay, I wrestle. I want to be part. I thought it was kind of like a tough man competition type. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll do this." Like, you know what I mean? And they was like, "No, you have to be trained." And I was like, "I've been trained all my life. What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean be trained? And so then they told me about going to the school or whatever like that, and that's when I told them, okay, I'd meet a certain place where the school was, and I met, and that pulled up, and that was Matt and Jeff, and it was Matt and Jeff and Tracy Cadell, who's Trey, what's his name on wrestling? Good gracious, I keep
Sorry.
Cameron Ryan's dad.
Okay.
Ryan's dad. Yeah, his dad. And a few other guys was there, and that's where we started. That's where I started training how to wrestle at. And it was funny because when I pulled up in the yard and I looked, I was like, "Yo, that's the guys from the TWF." Like, but it was the TWF tapes were old. Like, they were like 7, 8 years old. They had morphed and had got training. They had been on gotten opportunities at WWF a little bit, and all. So they were doing pretty good.
Who taught you how to get so good on the mic?
Oh man, I was I don't know. I was called to preach when I was 14 years old. I've always been speaking to crowds, and I'm a public speaker, and so that's just something that I've always done. And I guess being a fan of like Muhammad Ali when I was young, and big talkers, man, I was a huge fan of like Ric Flair promos and also like that. They were the type of people that I kind of idolized. In Dusty Rhodes, the Bull in the Woods, all that, man. I loved it, man. And so, and then what made me talk, I didn't come out to be a talker. It came out of me because I started going to this wrestling promotion called NWA Wildside, and that's the promotion that AJ Styles, R-Truth, um, and a lot of guys came from, but came out of NWA Wildside, and it was the first place that I went to after Matt and Jeff had got signed. So Matt and Jeff had got signed, and so the only people that were left were like Shannon Moore and Shane Helms, so they started going to this place, NWA Wildside, and I got injured. I broke my ankle, so I couldn't go with them. And by the time I got up there with them, or to NWA Wildside, they had got moved to Tennessee, Burt Prentice, and then ended up going to WCW. But I was at NWA Wildside, and it was the first time I was at a place where I wasn't the most athletic guy there, because like normally I can go to, and this is in the 90s now, so early 2000s, maybe 2001, where you're going to a place, and most of the places you're used to going, like you do a moonsault, they're like, oh my God, what was that? That was amazing. But you do a dive to the outside of the ring, they think you're Rey Mysterio or something. I don't know. Like they just thought it was the most amazing thing. But then you go into this setting where everybody's amazing. Everybody's doing. You got this AJ Styles, you got R-Truth, you got JC Daz, you got Ray Phoenix. You got all these guys that are just amazing. And then you're like, what makes you so different? And so then I got on the microphone for some promo I had to do, and I just started talking. And Bill Barnes was like, yo, you're good on this microphone. And I was like, okay. Like, I didn't know it was a thing. Like, I was hooked on it. Like, I liked the talkers in wrestling, but I didn't know there was like, that was a thing. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would just get more and more mic time, and I would just go with it. And I would talk junk going to the ring. Oh man, I could wrestle and talk the whole time I was wrestling, man. It was cool.
Yeah, that reminds me of like what was it, The Rock and Mankind, where The Rock puts on the headset and he's talking crap while he's beating him down.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Absolutely.
So who was your favorite wrestler that you always kind of looked up to?
Well, there's a lot of them, man. I could say the first wrestler I saw was Dusty Rhodes. The first wrestler I kind of identified myself with would be Rocky King, and I don't know if you know who he is, but he was big in the NWA. Didn't really win any matches, but he was a black guy. He had all these muscles and he had curly hair. He looked like somebody related to me, So he was kind of the first black wrestler I saw that looked like somebody that, like, I could relate to, But then I liked like the Rock and Roll Express. I was big on Brian Pillman, Eddie Guerrero,
Eddie.
Oh man, Dean Malenko. A lot of the cruiserweights where I was really, really big on the cruiserweights, Four Horsemen, the Road Warriors, all of them. And then in WWE, when I got hold of WWE, I don't know, of course Hulk Hogan, but then Coco Beware,
Love
Bam Bam Bigelow. It's a lot of. I just kind of have to be reminded of certain people, and then you kind of go. I love Slick, Dr. Slick. Oh man, oh man, that joke was bad, man.
Yeah.
Slide tie, yeah. I like him. He was a preacher in real. He's a preacher now in real life.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Hogan just gave his life to the Lord. That was
isn't that amazing? Yeah,
that's amazing, man. I just seen that about 2 weeks ago, I think.
I heard about it. I didn't know it was true because I'm like, sometimes people just put up stories, but
no, and he's not shy about it either. He's promoting his faith all over the place.
I've learned that Christianity is nothing anybody fakes about anymore, because it's not looked at as one of those things of, oh, congratulations, that's awesome, man. Everybody's like, oh, you one of those now.
Yep.
So yeah, so if he's saying that, I'm just kind of like, good for him, man. I'm happy for him. He was one of those guys that you grow up, saying your prayers, eating your vitamins type thing, and then you end up, the curtain gets pulled back and you see, the real him is kind of like, man, this is what I was, looking up to all my life. But then, he apologized, and it's kind of like, okay, whatever. But then he gives his life to Christ, and you're like, bro, what else do you have to do to forgive somebody? Like, you know what I mean? Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's human. Everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And so I could even tell, like, when I was watching not WrestleMania, I was watching the Royal Rumble, and he had those snippets in there where he was saying stuff. Like, I was kind of like, that's Hulk Hogan. Like, it was kind of cool, and I think it's cool too that WWE is giving him another chance, to show who he is, because so some people that is who that's who introduced them to wrestling. That's who idolized wrestling. Somebody that you go from watching something on Saturdays that's just cool to like going to school saying stuff that he says.
Right.
And so he's a big game changer there.
Absolutely.
I mean, you would always end up just going, well, let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah. Wait, you know something, brother? If you're gonna, yeah, absolutely. Everybody's got the Macho Man. Everybody's got Hulk Hogan. It's like, everybody's got these guys. Bret Hart, the Undertaker. And, can you roll your eyes in the back of your head and all that stuff, man? It's those characters, man. That if you was a wrestling fan, you got it, and if not, you were weird.
Right.
That's just what it was. Yeah.
I love Ro knows that boy that Ro, I guess his name. I think his name is. He comes into the shop and he rips off his shirt. And he does
like he has no idea. That's nowhere near his time frame. So his parents had to introduce that to him. You know what I mean? Like, and he had to see it and was just engulfed with it.
Right.
Because you think about today's time where most children are YouTubers. Like, they just watch YouTube all day. For somebody to turn on and watch wrestling and then get hooked on somebody that was years before them, it's a big deal. It's a big.
And he nails it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is great. So, can we talk a little bit about Omega Championship Wrestling? And you were part of that. I think that's where Ice came from.
Yeah.
And so you spent some time in there. Did you think that time spent with those guys in Omega Wrestling helped you mature as a wrestler? Can you go over that a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was the brainchild of Matt Hardy. I was there when he thought of Omega. I was there before Omega was there. I was there when Omega ended. And it was kind of like a ride where we really thought we were the best, man. Honestly, we were the only ones we were kind of a mix between WCW and ECW. We did all the high flying stuff. We did all the hardcore stuff. And I think sooner or later there's going to be like a series coming out about it, that like we were the game changers in wrestling. And I was wrestling with Omega. I was young, I was young. I was green as green can be, and I was getting these opportunities with guys that I just thought were the best in the world. And I always looked at Omega as being the next thing, It's kind of been my I think loyalty has been my best friend and worst enemy at the same time, because every promotion I've been a part of, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the one that's gonna, go against WCW or WWE. This is the next best, thing or whatever. And I just thought Omega was gonna blow up because it was that good. We started in armories, and then we went to high schools, and it was just like you could just see. We went from crowds of 40 or 50 people to like hundreds of people coming to see it, and it was amazing.
Awesome.
Nice, man.
Rico.
So, do you have any right before you come out to the ring? Did you have any before ring preparations? Any psyching you had going on? Like headphones?
Pray. I definitely pray, because injuries are real, and I'm patenting fitness concept that I'm doing. That I have my own workout routine that I do. And it's kind of like a thing I call Colemanetics, and it's kind of like muscle versus muscle fitness that I've been doing, and it's kind of what I do before my matches.
Nice, I like that.
Yeah, and so I have a few wrestlers doing it now, and a few of my students, and some other people, and hopefully this is my like DDP yoga type type thing in the
Yeah.
future. Yeah.
That boy, man, DDP, man, his thing, man, he's saved lots of people's
Yeah.
lives, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've got a guy that 400 pounds doing it now. And so we just see what comes of it.
Oh man, best of luck with that one.
So your
Thanks,
time
man.
in TNA, you faced CM Punk and guys like that. Now, TNA back then compared to TNA now, do you see the positive things now? I mean, they are going. I think Endeavor took them over or whatever. I don't know. You see them kind of like an ROH and AEW. Do you see TNA and WWE happening like that, or is that just something we got the forbidden door over at the Royal Rumble for?
You never can tell. You never can tell. I think wrestling is at a place now where we had these big old red oak wood doors, and now these doors are screen doors. Where anything is possible. And sometimes somebody just gotta look through and say the right thing, and they can walk through and come back or whatever. And if anything else, man, with TNA, when I was with TNA at the beginning, it was all shot in Tennessee, and it was a big deal. It was a big deal because I had wrestled with Ring of Honor, and I was wrestling at NWA Wildside, and yeah, it was a huge deal when it first came out. They had Ken Shamrock, they had some good names on there. They had Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, and it was basically like the cream of the crop, the cream of the crop wrestling wise. And so it was an honor to be there then, and we just knew that was going to be like the next big thing. It was definitely like, it was not like I don't look at TNA as an indie. I look at TNA as a if you're paying salaries, you're not an indie.
Mm-hmm.
I think Marks, they say that's their term of leveling things out, but like, the same Mark that say, oh, this isn't the real thing, would be the same Mark that plays a guitar in his basement, and if he gets a gig to go somewhere to play guitar for $50, he would do it in the drop of a hat, but he'll pick at somebody on the indie scenes for doing the same thing. You know what I mean? It's all people trying to get to a place where they can make a living doing what they love to do. And TNA is a place that can pay you to make a living doing what you love to do. So I respect it.
Yeah, awesome.
Nope.
Got anything, Rico?
Oh yeah, I thought you were going. My bad. Actually, I was going to ask you. So, what was you have like a favorite wrestling moment, wrestling like a match, one you were in, or something you've watched?
I have a lot of moments. I'm kind of a lot of moments tagging with Cedric Alexander, television title moments, winning the AML title. But probably my coolest moment to date is my son is wrestling now, and
Awesome.
and I get to tag with my son, and to be in shape to where I'm not just like old dude holding on for dear life, and where you're like, go ahead, bro, like you should go ahead and sit down. Where it's like I can still go, I'm still healthy, and my son is this young rookie, and I get to tag with him, and we're like a legit threat. I think that's probably the coolest thing because I don't know if I've ever imagined it, honestly. Like he loved wrestling when he was younger, and I just kind of thought about it, like, oh, that'd be cool if he's a wrestler one day. But then like to actually see him doing it, and then like he's actually like really good, and he's an entertainer, he has charisma, he's a great looking kid, and then tagging with him, and then seeing him go places and training on his own, and he's also an artist, like he does music and stuff, and music videos, and I'm just like, man, I don't know what's gonna happen with this kid, but like to see one day we had went to the storage unit to I think to get the Christmas stuff, and in the storage unit was my old wrestling gear, and I had to get something out of it. It's like a knee brace out because he had tweaked his knee at practice or something. I said, oh, I got some knee braces in storage or whatever. And so we go to storage to get knee braces, and I go to get the knee braces, but the knee braces are with my old wrestling gear and all that. And he was like, Dad, what's this? And I was like, oh, this is my old wrestling gear. Like, you know what I mean? And he was like, well, can I have it? And I was like, yeah, but that stuff older than you. What you talking about? Yeah. And he takes it out, man, and we get to the house, man, and we're just walking around, and then he walks out with my wrestling gear on, and it fits him perfect, and I'm just like, I was speechless. Because I never in my life did I imagine that happen. That was nothing that I never was like, oh, one day my son's gonna be wearing my wrestling clothes, or you know what I'm saying, or he's gonna
Yep.
feel my shoes. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, to see that happening and knowing that he's gonna be better than I ever was, and that because he literally grew up in this sport. Him and Matt had the same birthday. They call each other on their birthdays, and he has so many, star wrestlers in this sport that he knows personally. Um, to me, I feel like, in a way, like I'm Rocky Johnson, and he's The Rock.
All right. There you go.
Oh, that's awesome, bro. Awesome.
Because it's like I've done some great things, but it's kind of like the things I've done. It's like, yeah, right, yeah, Rocky Johnson, he was cool, man. I remember him. But then, like, there comes his son, and so that's kind of how I feel about my son.
So now ROH, you're a commentator. So do you believe? I think you touched on a little bit. Do you believe that being a commentator is adding longevity to your career, because you're not always in the ring, you're taking those breaks that are necessary? So is that why you're commentating, basically?
No, man, I'm doing commentary because I got an opportunity to do it. And most of my wrestling career, I was known as the talker of whatever group I was a part of. I've always been a mic person, and I got the opportunity to do commentary, and the producers thought I was really good at it, so they kept giving me opportunities to do it. And I looked at it, I'm like, man, I can't wrestle forever. You can't wrestle forever, not and be healthy, And so I looked at it and I was like, man, this could be. I prayed. I was in my mid late 30s, and I was like, I took a bump or something, and in the practice ring, and it hurt like it hurt. It was a different type of hurt, and I was like, I just realized that the bump card is real. There's this joke about, everybody has a bump card. Like, the bump card is real. And I started praying. I was like, Lord, what do I do other than wrestling? Like, what happens when wrestling's gone? And so I just started saying yes to all opportunities I was given in the back. And then when commentary came up, I just took it serious. And people are like, oh, you're a commentator now. You ever think about getting back in the ring? Yeah, but I mean, I want to do commentary like for the rest of my, like, that's what I want to do now. Because I feel like with commentary, you are the conscience of pro wrestling. Anything that you're talking about with wrestling is something a commentator said. And when you say, oh, Ric Flair's the so-and-so, 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 you heard a commentator say that, and you're saying it, you just don't know you're repeating something that you've already heard, And so my thing as a commentator is I am blessed to be able to paint the picture of athletes that are in the ring and to make them stars, bring out the best of those athletes. And I get thanked from those athletes. They tell me, hey, I appreciate what you did in my match or whatever, because there are some commentators that go out there and they're all about themselves. They're putting themselves over, or they're picking at the competition, or they're picking at the wrestlers in the ring. And I've been that wrestler, man, that gets an opportunity on TV, and you call your family, you call your friends, hey, turn on, Velocity. I'm going to be wrestling on Velocity, or whatever. And you turn it on, and they turn it on, and the commentators are making jokes about you. You know what I'm saying? And so now you're embarrassed, but you it's a big deal to you, but the commentator made you look so small that now you're embarrassed in front of your family. And so I have the opportunity to get these people that are getting the opportunity to make them look like somebody. So when their family turns on the TV and sees, their son that's not going to follow the family business and wants to be a pro wrestler, and he finally gets an opportunity on TV, when he turns on the TV, his mother and father can be like, oh, okay, well, maybe you do have something with this thing. You know what I mean? Instead of being that commentator's like, look at this guy. I don't know why he's in the ring. Look at what he's wearing. Oh, look like he hangs out with Beetlejuice. Why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? So.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the importance of like having skills and everything in the ring, mic skills, how important, like I'll ask a lot of wrestlers this, how important would you say personality is in the ring?
I think it's everything. I think if you look at The only example I can give you that jumps in my head is Dean Malenko. I feel Dean Malenko was the greatest wrestler in the world. I just really feel he was. He could do anything. He could fly. He could wrestle. He could submit you. He could do anything wrestling wise. He just wasn't personality. You know what I'm saying? And I think if Dean Malenko had a personality, man, he would have main evented WrestleMania over and over and over and over again because there was nobody like him. You know, but if you think about the people who people like the most in pro wrestling aren't even wrestlers. Like Hulk Hogan's a wrestler, but like, what is he known for? A leg drop? Like,
what does he do
other than leg drop? What does he do? You know what I mean?
Well, he's not. Yeah.
What is his move set? You know what I'm saying? He's got clothesline, he's got punches, he's got a leg drop. You know what I'm saying? He a big boot and leg drop. You know that's. But like he's known for his character. You follow his character. You think about The Rock. The Rock had the rock bottom into people's elbow. You know, he wasn't known for the crisp wrestling and this. He could wrestle, you know, but it was the character that you got locked on. Ric Flair is probably the only wrestler that was a wrestler and could talk and was a wrestler. Like he was a wrestler. Like, you know what I mean? But most of the people that you like in pro wrestling, you like the character. You know, the only people that you really like because of their wrestling skill is somebody like Rey Mysterio, and that's because he blows your mind. You know what I mean?
Or like Bret Hart.
All right, even somebody like Eddie Guerrero was just another, you know, guy on WCW until he grabbed the microphone. Same thing like Chris Jericho. You know, it's that microphone that changes people's lives. That personality. People want to, like you said, you know, people want to suspend their belief. For them, when they turn on that TV, they want to suspend their belief for a little while. They want to be entertained. They want to see something they've never seen before. They want to hear something they've never heard before. Or they want to turn on the TV and see somebody that they can relate to, you know? And even if it's Stone Cold Steve Austin that has two bad legs, but he's beating up his boss, I want to see it.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was more of a WWE guy, or, you know, and AEW came on, and I hated the guy, MJF. I couldn't stand him. But now that once I learned what his character was, and it pissed me off. I was told by a lot of people, "Oh, if he's doing his job, he was pissing you off." So why did I turn into AEW on Wednesdays? Well, because I wanted to see what he was going to say. You know?
Yeah, I had a preacher friend of mine was preaching a sermon about how he hated the Patriots and the football team, and he hated them so. I think it was the Patriots. He hated them so much, and they beat. I forget the whole story, but basically they beat his team and knocked them out of the playoffs or whatever. And he hated them so much that he said, "You know what? Next year I'm gonna watch all the Patriots games. And I'm just gonna watch them lose. I'm just gonna watch them lose." And he turned on and started watching them, and they would win, and they would win, and they would win, and they would win. Then he became a Patriots fan. You know, because it's like after a while they won him over because you start seeing this player, that player, and all. And that's kind of the way it is with wrestling. It's like the people that you love to hate because they're good, and you want somebody to come along and beat them. You know, you want somebody to beat them. And that's just the story of it, man. That's the story of it.
So ROH, one of our friends of the show, he's been on a couple times. Shane Taylor Promotions. Can you talk a little bit about your interactions with Shane?
A couple of times. What you talking about?
Yeah, he's been on our show 2 times so far.
Oh, he's been on your show a couple of times. I thought you said he's been on Ring of Honor a couple of times.
No.
Like, shoot.
2 times on our show.
Shane Taylor, that's one of my best friends, man. Yeah. He's a great guy. STP. I guess I could say I was one of his mentors when he came into Ring of Honor. We brought him into the Rebellion, and he went from being a mentee to a brother to a leader, man. And he says he gives his hat back to like me and Kenny King for taking him under our wings. But like the way Shane Taylor is like I will admit I'm the type person that I'm like, let me get there and I'll pull you, I'll go back and get you. Like, let me get there first and I go back and get you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to get somewhere. When I get there, I'm gonna come back for you. You feel me? Like Harriet Tubman type thing. You know what I'm saying? But he is like, let's all go here together. And he would carry people with him, and some of them had no business going, you know. But like he was just that type of person that, you know, he would take people with him, and that's the type of person he is, man. Like he's like, hey, let's all go at the same time. Let's all go at the same time. it's rare to see somebody like that because, I think I'm a good person for reaching back. I don't think I forgot anybody or anything like that. But Shane Taylor, man, I can say that there have been times where his career has been slowed because people that he's been holding on to weren't moving as fast as he was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the type of guy that Shane Taylor is, man. And I'm happy for him getting opportunities on on Dynamite and Collision and all these things, man. And I just think it's a matter of time, man, before the world realizes who Shane Taylor is.
I love the story I love his interactions with Moxley. That's just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that
absolutely.
was. I was like, I popped really hardcore when he clotheslined.
That handshake.
Yep. Bam. Yeah, that was bad. That was sick.
Yeah. I thought it was a big deal when he wrestled Moxley and he lost to Moxley, and then he got interviewed at the end, and his whole interview was about Lee Moriarty. Yeah. That just shows right there. With you get a promo on a live show, you talk about yourself, you put yourself over. Yeah. But no, he made it about somebody else, and that's the type of person Shane Taylor is. That's Shane Taylor.
In a nutshell, there you go.
Yeah, that's Shane Taylor.
So, are you big into entrance themes? And if you are, what's your favorite one?
I hate to say it. My favorite entrance is Dalton Castle, man. I don't know if y'all know who Dalton Castle is, but he's the human peacock, and he's the peacock suplex machine. And
I want to snip that. I would put it on TikTok.
He's on Ring of Honor, man, and he is just TV. I could see him. I could see a Dalton Castle cartoon. He comes out as him, and he has these twins called the Tate twins, and they're the boys, and they're like little chicks, or they call them chicks, but they're dressed like little peacocks, and they're like he feeds them like bird food, and he has like a big wingspan, and he comes out, and it's the craziest entrance ever, man. But it never gets old. It never gets old. And now he's feuding with Johnny Morrison, and their feuding is like who's the most TV person, the biggest TV personality. It's a huge feud in Ring of Honor. That's pretty big. So I love his entrance. I was big on the Stone Cold. That was huge. I used to know growing up. I knew just about every wrestler's theme song. I just knew that. And I'm talking about old school. I can go back to Rock and Roll Express theme song. I can go back to Dusty Rhodes, or you can't judge a book by looking at the cover. You can't judge the apple by looking at the tree. No, you can't judge the cane. I mean, I knew all those songs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it was just the entrances are a huge deal to me. Huge deal.
So it gets you, especially for a fan, it kind of as soon as you hear it and you know who it is, you're like, oh yeah.
I hear voices in my head.
Oh man.
They understand. Come on, man.
When at the Royal Rumble, when Jade's music just hit, I went crazy because that was my pick to win it all. I was like, Jade, yes.
Yeah, that was big for me, man. To know Jade. You talk about Jade Cargill, right?
Yes.
Yeah. To know Jade is she is somebody that was given an opportunity because of the way she looks. And she took that opportunity, and I mean she ran with it. When she was at AEW, she was the first one to get to the arena, and she would be in that ring training like somebody that's never wrestled before. But she would go in there and she would change 2 or 3 times a show because she would first go there and it was like she was going to train, and she'd be in the ring for hours. She'd be in the ring with Bryan Daniels. She'd be in the ring with what's his name? Steven Regal and all the trainers. She was just in the ring with them and different wrestlers and having matches and they were showing her stuff and it was just like clockwork. She never took days off, and then she'd go get cleaned up, and she'd go get her outfit on, and then she'd go get cleaned up and go get a wrestling outfit on. It was just just watching her it won me because it was like, man, oh, she's getting this opportunity because she's bodybuilder and she got this opportunity before, and she looks like this, and she's a freak of nature. But then when you see the heart of somebody that doesn't have to work as hard as she does, and that works as hard as she does, and then you see her grow on TV, you see her get better and better and better, and she gets hungrier and hungrier and hungrier, and then the choices that she makes and the sacrifices, and then like conversations she has, that you hear her heart. It's like, bruh, that's what this is made of, because we don't get a lot of opportunities like that. You know what I'm saying? So to see somebody of color get an opportunity like that and to take it and knock it out the box, man, that to me, she's all right with me. She's all right with me.
That's awesome.
I'm really hoping she gets a title very soon.
Yeah,
because that girl is amazing.
She is. She's got a great family, man, and I think she's going to be amazing.
So your commentators. So a couple of my favorite commentators is good old JR, and Pat McAfee. I love when he comes back, that he just gets the crowd going, and Jordan Graves, or whatever that guy's name on the other end of it. It's not whatever, but
Corey
what is
Graves?
there you go. What is your interactions with McAfee and or JR been through your commentary career? And as JR, I read some stuff where he might have helped you out a little bit by talking with you. Okay.
Yeah, JR. Oh man, it's crazy because when I hear pro wrestling in my head, is JR and it's the King, Jerry Lawler.
Mm-hmm.
That is the voice of wrestling in my head. And when I got to AEW, and before I got to AEW, when I was working Ring of Honor full time doing commentary, I followed JR on his page, Jim Ross' page, and I just shot him a message and said, "Hey, I'm a commentator for Ring of Honor. I'm a huge fan of yours. Do you have any advice for somebody that really wants to make a living out of this?" And I didn't expect him to write me back, But then, like a week or so later, even before that was done, he said, "Hey, I'm not ignoring you. I just got a lot of things going on." I was like, "Bro, you didn't even have to respond. Like, I just threw it out in the wind." You know what I mean? And then he like sent me this like a paragraph or so of like things to do to be great at commentary, and I just thought it was a big deal. And then when I actually got to AEW and I met him, or whatever, I just introduced myself to him. I was like, "Hey kid, how you doing?" He was kind of like, "Hey kid, how you doing?" And then I told him who I was, and he was like, "Oh, okay," but just let me know that he does that for people. Like, if you reach out to him, he's gonna talk to you. And then being around him, at first he was kind of watching Rick Abani and I, but then somewhere down the line, I don't know if we won his heart or what, but like, man, sometimes I'm in a dressing room and it's just me and him, and we're watching TV because he doesn't have to go out to the main event, and we're watching the show, and I'm literally sitting beside JR, and he's telling me stuff like, "Okay, when they said this right here," so like he's coaching me, and I'm like, sometimes I look up at the people I'm surrounded by, and it's like I'm surrounded by JR, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur, and Taz, and and these people, they talk to you, they encourage you, they advise you, it's God is good, man.
Mm-hmm.
God is good, and so to have people like that don't mind giving you wisdom is amazing. Yeah, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, JR, man, he's one of my favorites. He'd be like, "Oh, it's a slobber knocker." So he cracks me up. And even like when you play the WWE wrestling games, you can hear him and JR just
Yep. And they put all those catchphrases in there, and yeah, man. Absolutely.
Oh,
I like Schiavone. I love one of my favorite, my favorite all-time favorite wrestler is Sting. And when Schiavone gets in the yes, I'm like, yes. So it's the part of the show before we get into the CWF stuff. It's called my kids questions. It's called Kids Corner, and my foster kids come up with some questions that I want to ask you. It's really quick, one answer, whatever. Nothing in depth. Okay.
Before that, I was gonna make sure I say, Tony Schiavone, people have no idea the amount of work he does behind the scenes. Like that guy wears so many hats behind the scenes. You see Tony Schiavone on TV, but you have no idea who this man is behind the scenes, and I just leave it like that. He is a machine. Tony Schiavone is a machine. But go ahead.
That's awesome. Favorite food?
Man. Oxtails.
Okay, I heard that one before. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Favorite book?
The Bible.
Favorite TV show?
I mean, I have to say, like other than wrestling, I was really big on the Cosby Show. I thought that was an amazing show because it really it gave a different look. It wasn't. It was just it was a positive show for a lot of people for a long time. Yeah.
Favorite movie?
Man, these are oh man.
These are thinking questions right here.
Yeah, I don't know a favorite movie, man.
Stump the Wrestler.
Oh, I mean, I watched all the rest. I like all the rest of the movies, but probably like Ray, like the Ray Charles movie. That what's his name played? Oh, come on, man. Ray. Who played Ray? Who played Ray? Jamie Foxx, yeah. I probably stuttered so long on that you had time to look it up on Google. But I like that. I like Avenger movies.
Okay.
Those type of movies. I watch those. But yeah, I probably like that. Rocky, the Rocky series. I'm a huge fan of the Rocky series, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Favorite potato chip?
Salt and vinegar.
Okay. Favorite sports team?
Footballs, Panthers. Basketball, it was the Bulls growing up, but now I live in Charlotte, so kind of the Hornets. I like Golden State as well, and I like the Lakers, mostly because of LeBron. I like LeBron, but yeah. So I say the Hornets, Golden State, and the Lakers.
Okay, the last one I have is a new one today. What do you do when you first get out of bed?
Pray.
I had to ask it came from a 7-year-old. I said, okay, is that what you really want to ask? She goes, yes.
Yeah, pray. So. Try not to like, right, you go to your bathroom when you get out of bed, but I try not to be one of those people that just grab your cell phone and just.
Right.
Just sit there and stare at your phone.
Yeah.
So I got to ask real quick because you mentioned you really like LeBron. Jordan, Kobe, LeBron.
Jordan.
Which one?
Without Jordan, there is no Kobe or LeBron. I think Jordan changed the game for everybody. Yeah.
I think 80s basketball needs to come back.
Those feuds were amazing. I think just the rules made everything, less impactful. But like without Jordan, there would be none of these guys because he changed the game, and somebody has to supersede him. You can't be that person forever. Somebody has to keep going higher. But like without Jordan was pivotal to basketball.
So let's talk about your when you first became part of CWF and meeting Rob Vaughn and those guys. How'd that evolve into where it is now?
AJ Styles is the one that introduced me to CWF. I think he got brought in, and I think Rob Vaughn was like, "Do you know any other Christian guys?" And AJ Styles was like, "Yeah, I know this guy. He's Christian." And he was talking about me, and they brought me in. And I think my first time there, I was it was the crazy time because it was at a time where, my pastor was like, "You're gonna have to make a choice between wrestling and preaching." And so I had pretty much given wrestling up. I was like, "Okay, Lord, if it ain't for me to do, then I quit." It's kind of like, I can't put anything before the Lord, and I was like, I just wish, and in my head, I was like, I wish there was such thing as Christian wrestling. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And it sounded as funny as me saying it, and not even 2 weeks later, I promise you, man, I go to NWA Wildside and AJ Styles is like, "Yo, man, I was down there in Texas, and there's this Christian Wrestling Federation, and I told the guy about you, man, so he's probably going to be giving you a call." And I was like, "Really?" And yeah, and so that's when AJ Styles, that's when I met Rob Vaughn, and the first show I went on, I think it was some kind of tour we was on, and they had the Power Team. You remember the Power Team? They used to tear the telephone books and bend the nails and
Yep.
and all that stuff. And we were there, the Power Team, and I think like 100 and something people got saved that night.
Wow.
And I was hooked. Like I think that whole tour, like 100 and something people got saved on that tour, and I was hooked ever since. Just I've never seen wrestling mixed with. They said, "Okay, we want you to go out here and give your testimony after your match," and then like I think one match I did like a message after the match or whatever, and to see people go from wrestling to church and they coming down, there wasn't an altar. It was coming down out of the stands, crossing the barricades to the ring. It's on the side of the ring praying and like, oh man, I was like, this is it. Like and I guess that was the Lord's way of telling me that, I'm in the right place, And so
that's one of the things I do like about Rob Vaughn and that group over there. That what happens after the wrestling is, it's incredible to see.
And it's in the wrestling too, because it's like it's not a show where there's no cussing, it's no vulgarity, it's no like scantily clad stuff. It's nothing that's like it's nothing like antsy in there, nothing that you wouldn't put on TV. It's all clean wrestling. You got the good guy, you got the bad guy, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's good stuff.
Okay. Yeah, it just goes to show you don't need all the profanity to actually, put on a good show.
No, I mean, the shows, they run shows. I want to say every other week or maybe every week, and you go to that auditorium, man, it's packed out.
Yeah,
it's packed out.
So Kevin Kasky has a question. He says, ask him for him if he has any new beauty tips. The last set didn't seem to work so well for him.
That's one of the CWF guys. He's one of the commentators. Moisturize. Continue to moisturize. Lotion is your friend.
Lotion is your friend.
Yeah, lotion is your friend. People don't use lotion. Especially white people. White people, you don't have lotion, do you? You got about a lotion in your house?
Well, yeah.
Heard of it. Huh?
It's sitting in the cupboard.
In the cupboard, right? Probably been there for years, right?
Yep.
Pull it out the cupboard.
Yeah, see, this region has to have lotion right here.
There you go.
That's your wife's lotion, brother.
No, that's for my hands.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Put it on your body, man. Lotion works good for you.
Got some more questions from them, from the CWF guys. Is there anyone that you brought to CWF personally that took the life of Christian and ran with it? That you brought into that you introduced?
Took the what?
That you introduced them to CWF, and they just ran with it. Like they did their, how do I say that? They accepted Jesus. They made a turnaround. Is there anybody that you brought in that would have done that?
I think anybody that I brought in, I felt they were already Christian. I can say this, like Lodi, Scotty Matthews. I want to say I introduced him to Chad. let me see. And a lot of those guys, like especially Lodi, it's funny that when he became part of CWF, and it was like he was getting flown. He's like, "Hey, you going to CWF this weekend?" Like, no, no, no. Oh, okay. Yeah, you going to see that? No, I'm like, okay. He was getting flown in more than me, but it was because he was sold out for it, man. And even here, we have a Carolina version of CWF that he heads up, and all. And if anybody, I would say it'd be Lodi. He definitely ran with it. I've had my wrestling brother, Sweet Dreams. He loves it, but I definitely say Lodi, Scotty Matthews, are North Carolina guys that just they love CWF. They love it. CWF loves them.
Awesome. I'm going to run down some comments on the on the chat. Late to the party. My sincere apologies. Ageless one.
How you doing, man?
Chili Willie, a long
Yes,
time person on this podcast. I'm a fan of Brother Caprice.
Absolutely, man. I've known Chili Willie for a long
Spruce
time.
is the baby oil man.
Spruce is the baby. Thanks, man. Rob Vine, that's the man. That's the man.
I love you over there. So I'm going to ask this time where we're getting close. I don't want to take any more of your time. It's been an hour and 6 minutes. But I would love to hear your testimony if you would be willing to share it with us, or anything you'd like to share with people out there that might need that you in your heart that you feel like you want to share as we close the show.
Yeah, man. I think my testimony is has some real ups and downs. I was called a preacher when I was 14. Raised up in the church, and then became part of the sport and traveled and kind of was stuck between being an entertainer and a preacher, and for a while, I was able to impact everywhere I went, but then there was a while where I began to be impacted, and so I drifted away before. Multiple times, I would say. I mean, nobody's perfect, but there were some times where I really felt like I was really far from God, and but I knew that was me being far from God and not God being far from me. And I think the devil will take situations that you go through, and he will bring it to your mind to tell you this is. So you thought you were so and so, but this is who you are. This is who you are, and continue to bring up your faults and your failures to make you doubt your salvation, to make you doubt your faith. They say the Bible. In the Bible, it says the devil's out to kill, steal, and destroy. And I really believe that, but I also believe it's to kill, steal, and destroy your testimony within you to make you not want to be a witness for Christ. And once I learned that and resubmitted myself back to Christ, it's been a totally different thing. And I have a different understanding for people that struggle with drugs, the alcohol, and all type of things, because that's not, when I was a teenager, I was like, oh, just say no, you don't do that stuff. But then you actually go down those roads and you realize that these are real things that nobody just chooses to go down to say, oh, I'm gonna let this thing take over me. They're real battles, but I'm from a side that knows you can overcome these things, and you don't have to be a slave to them. And there's a way out, and that there's not a time where God is like, I don't love him anymore. He chastises the ones he loves, but he loves them. And a lot of times, God is like that parent that son has ran away, that the son might not be doing right, but you're still sitting by the phone waiting for that phone call, because you want to know they're all right. And the love of God is that powerful. And sometimes you don't know that until you've been that son that is strayed away, that prodigal son that knows that you shouldn't be alive today. You shouldn't be alive today. But it's only by the grace of God that you are. And because you're alive, there's a whole lot of people that are going to make it to heaven because of you, because you have to tell that story. You have to show that love. You have to show that compassion because it was shown to you first, And so I'm that person that can say, yeah, I was raised up in a church, and yeah, I was, called to preach when I was 14 years old. But I've messed up just like everybody else. And I had to realize that I'm nothing without Christ. And there's not a time that I'm going to have myself together to walk to him and say, okay, I got it now, you take it. You have to submit to him and saying, I can't live this life without you. I messed it up over and over and over and again. If you leave me alone, I'm going to mess it up more. I need you to guide my life. I submit myself to you. And once I did that, he's made my life great.
Wow, awesome, man.
Love it, man. Love it.
I have a 31-year-old son up in Michigan. I pray every day that God would make himself present in his life, or that Travis would open his eyes and see that God's right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to go into it deeply, but there's some things that going on in his life, and I pray it every night.
Yeah.
You know,
It's the love, man.
That's all I can do. I can only love him. I can pray for him, and eventually, he will open those eyes and clear away the fog and clear away all the other stuff. You know, so
yeah,
that's a battle I battle with every day. You know.
You know, the crazy thing is sometimes, you know, we're praying for people and we see what they're going through, but we don't realize that everybody has a testimony. Yeah. And sometimes we're praying, we are praying for the very thing that's going to make their testimony great. Yeah. You know what I mean? And sometimes they have to go through those things before they realize, okay, this is the way out. And when they make that way out, they could be that person, man, I went down this road, because it's hard to tell somebody. It's hard for a goody two shoes to tell somebody, you know, how to go to heaven, you know, because they've never really been through anything. But when you've been through the trenches and you can pull somebody out of the trenches and you can see somebody and you know when they're high, you know when they're telling a lie, you know when they're drunk, you know when they're doing this, you can tell this and that because you've done the same thing. You see those characteristics in a person. That person know you're not pulling a wool over their eyes, but they see the change in you. You know, you could pull a whole different type of people in. Then, and that's the advantage that Moses had. You know, Moses grew up in Egypt. He knew Pharaoh. That's how he was able to go to Pharaoh, because he spoke their language. You know what I'm saying? But he was also not an Egyptian. You know, and so when his people saw him, they didn't like him. But when he went back, he was able to relate to both sides. And I think that's the power of a testimony. Sometimes, you know, we look at our kids where they are now, and we're like, oh man, we lost them. We didn't lost them. Sometimes they're walking their testimony out. And when they come back, they'll be more powerful than ever before, because there's nothing more powerful than realizing you have no power.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, well, thank you, Mr. Coleman, for your time here. Is there anything that you could plug, your social medias, where people can find you, what you've got planned next?
On social media, I'm just now on Facebook. So my Facebook is kind of like for my friends, people that I've met, people that I've had an encounter with. But I'm on Twitter at Caprice, the Caprice Coleman, or Caprice Coleman. Same thing on Instagram. I had to rebuild my Instagram page as well. Watch Ring of Honor, RH on RHWrestling.com. You can watch that. It's the Honor Club on Honor Club, and continue to watch AEW, watch wrestling. I mean, support wrestling. You know, these indie shows. If you go to the indie shows and all. I am in February. I get a shot at the Pan Am Diaspora African Championship, and that's held by Shug D right now. And it's a big deal for me because it's the world recognized title, and I get an opportunity at it in Charlotte, North Carolina, February 24th. It's a big deal at Ashe Wrestling, and got some huge opportunities coming up. In wrestling and in commentary, and I think just continue to look out for my name, and look out for the Coleman name, because my son is coming up, and you see us tagging somewhere, some places, and at CWF you'll see us tagging, and in other places you'll see us tagging, and sooner or later his name will be bigger than mine. His name is Chase Coleman. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Rico, for being part of the show. Caprice Coleman, thanks for coming on. This is Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. We love the all the content that you were talking about, your career, your testimony. It's been a blessing, my guy. I will play a song, and please stay on the line. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
I'm gonna play the song, and we're gonna be out.
Awesome.